Pull on into our Drive-In of Terror for Season 2, Episode 16 of Scare Your Pants Off, because it's movie night. In tonight's episode, the fright-filled feature is 13 Ghosts. You grab the snacks, we'll kill the lights. How you doing, Tom?
I am really, really good. God, I feel like we haven't done this in a while. I haven't really, we talked text and everything, but I feel like I haven't talked to you face to face in quite a while. So, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen you since last year. Waka waka. Sorry. I know, too much.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a while. It was the holiday season, and then family stuff came up and issues and stuff. So I'm glad that we're back. We're recording and getting back in the swing after the holiday season. Because, like I said, it feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, for everybody listening, we are currently recording this on January 21st of 2023. So we are still, just after the holiday season and whatnot, and this will probably not be aired till close to the fall or winter of 2023 going into 2024. So we're not crazy. This is really what's happening right now.
Yes, exactly. So what's new? What have you been up to?
You know what? I don't even know. So much stuff. Like we're really kind of now putting like boots to the ground and like really getting going and planning our Halloween party. And we've visited a couple venues for the wedding and everything like that. So I don't know, really just that. We recently lost Eric's dad, so we've been kind of doing that the last week. And
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
oh, thank you. It stinks, but fortunately it is part of life. And but everyone is healing and everyone is doing better. So
Yeah, that's always tough. It's always tough. I had my aunt passed on like the 1st of January, and it's always tough, especially in that holiday season. It's just like because going into every holiday season, I just want to get through the other end. That's it. That's how I am. I'm not a big holiday guy. I'm not, I mean, I obviously I do the family thing, but for me, it's like once that Thanksgiving hits, it's like, okay, I just got to get to like January 2nd. Just got to get there. So yeah, and oh God, and if it looks weird to you, Shay, I'm doing a remodel at my house, so I'm in a spare bedroom, sitting on a bed. That's why my sound might be a little weird too. It's I had to make do with a setup because well, not big, but remodel at the house. I'm just so ready for this to be over and just get back to being normal.
So everybody listening heard Tom take all the blame for any issues this episode.
Yes, I did.
That's what I heard.
This episode and every episode, you blame me, not Shay, because I don't mind. I don't mind. You watch anything good recently? Any good movies or shows or anything?
I feel like since the last time we've talked, I've watched 100 things, and I've wanted to talk to you about all of them. And then for some reason, when it comes down to actually thinking about it and remembering them, can't do it for the life of me. I know we've talked about Inside Man and you were going to watch that. Did you end up watching Inside Man?
I did, and I loved it, and I'm hoping it does get like a second run or something because they kind of did set it up for one. If they did, I thought it was great. Stanley Tucci's excellent. Yeah, totally like right up my alley. I love that type of stuff. And so yes, I watched that the same day you texted me to check it out. I was just like I put it on because like I said, I get a lot of recommendations, people at work, everything. But I know when you recommend it, I'm gonna like it. So I usually try to watch them right away afterwards. And yeah, that was a great show.
And have you checked out Old Man?
So Old Man, I remember a while back, I don't know, I can't remember the time frame, but watching part of the first episode, but I have not gotten around to that. It's just been had a couple crazy weeks with work and holidays and working some of these holidays. So it is on my list, but I have not gotten around to that yet.
It's worth it when you do. I'm telling you, when you have the time, you sit down and watch it. Jeff Bridges is friggin' amazing. He's so badass. I love him.
Yeah, I love Jeff Bridges. He's great. So yeah, definitely on my my list here. So
All right. Well, so you have the campy today, and if it's the one I remember it being, I'm very excited to hear you talk about it. So
yeah, this is, guys, I love this one. I mean, I still remember this from when I was a kid, and just, not fully understanding all the jokes and everything, but it's one of those movies that I still remember, and as like one of my earliest memory, like maybe 5 or 6, and probably shouldn't have watched it at that age, but remember vividly some of the scenes from that time. And what I'm talking about is the 1978 American horror parody film Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Now, I didn't watch it in 78. I wasn't born in 78, but I watched it in probably 85 or 84, 85, 86, somewhere around there, because I would have been 5 or 6. And this film was produced by Stephen Pierce and John DeBello, and directed by John DeBello. And it was based on the original idea / screenplay of Costa Dillon. And the film spoofs B movies and was made on a budget. I find this so impressive. I mean, it was a different time. It was 1978, so it's a lot more now. But it was made on a budget of $100,000, which is insane.
Crazy when you actually watch that movie. That's freaking crazy.
Yes, it is. And like trauma films, which are B movies, independent, however you want to classify them. Most of those go for more than $100,000, and those are super indie. Fun little fact: I almost worked for Troma back 25 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. After college, they the problem is they don't pay a lot, but after college, my undergrad at URI, I responded to, they were looking for PAs, stuff like that for their next film and everything like that. And I put in, and they had basically said I could have it. But the problem was, it was like getting paid next to nothing. I'd be living, I think it was like 10, 11 people in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in New York. So it was really bad condition. And then they ended up going with somebody that was a lot close, like from that area. So they didn't even have to live in that apartment or anything like that. So it didn't end up working out. But I really, really, really wanted to work. I thought that would have been such a cool little first gig after college, working for Troma.
Sure would.
But anyway, sorry, went off on a side tangent. Back to the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And essentially the plot is that tomatoes become sentient by unknown, I'm doing quotations, unknown means, and begin to revolt against humanity. So a group of scientists band together and try to find a way to stop these killer tomatoes. Yes, it's that is the description. It's kind of a bit of a spoof on the birds. They even have an opening, before the opening credits, they have scenes, and it's even, has little quotes about the birds and everything, and how when that first came out, people are like, how this movie's not going to be scary. A movie about birds is going to be scary. And we all know it ended up being one of the scariest movies of all time, The Birds. I mean, yep. It still creeps me out. So it's a bit of a spoof of that, and spoof of other B movies. Really has that B movie feel, but in a really good way, because it's making fun of it. It's making fun of itself. Just something that's totally up my alley. A particular scene that I still remember to this day, and when I probably 5 or 6 when I first saw it, and they did like a product placement gag, and that's the first time I ever saw that. I don't know if there was, I'm sure it was happened before at some point or something. I don't know for a fact because it was a '78 film. But they're sitting around in the diner, and it's Pepsi, and they're drinking it, and they kind of just do a product placement gag while they're doing their dialogue. It's essentially like a Pepsi commercial. And for some reason, that scene, I don't know why, but for 40 years has stuck with me and in this movie. And yeah, this is so much fun, guys. This is, if you like horror comedy and spoofs, this is up your alley. If you don't, maybe you don't watch it. But if you do, this is totally, totally up your alley, because it's so much fun. Yeah, it's going on. At first, it didn't get much love, because what am I saying? It was like a one note movie, one joke movie, all that stuff. But over the years, has sort of gained this cult status, with especially of fans of horror and horror comedy and spoof movies. So again, can't say enough good things about it, guys. Do yourself a favor and yeah, check this movie out if you can. It's a lot of fun. So your thought? Have you watched it recently?
Not super recently. I will tell you that I actually. Oh, hold on. Apparently an ad just popped up. Sorry about that. Start over. So not super recently, but within the last year, I have watched it, and I actually watched it, and this reminded me. Do you recall when I talked to you about the movie Attack of the Killer Donuts?
Yes.
Did you ever end up watching that?
I have not yet.
Okay, that is actually the last time I did watch Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, because I had to watch it because I watched Attack of the Killer Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I will stand by what I said like a bunch of episodes ago. It is actually campier than Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Now, with that being said, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is fantastic. It's right there with like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's really it's a classic, and you have to watch it. If you love camp and you love horror, you have to watch it. It is, I don't even know. It's just phenomenal. And to know that they did it on the budget that they did, yes, back when this came out, the effects weren't, what they are now. But to do it on that little bit of money, given that fact, is really honestly more impressive.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up Killer Clowns, because that's like serious. That's such a good, barometer. For me personally, I like Killer Clowns a little bit more, but it's close and it's right in that vein. So that's a perfect comparison. I love that. That's yeah. Do yourself a favor, guys.
All right. Well, if you're okay with it, I'm going to dive right into the feature.
Yeah, go for it.
So today I get to talk about 13 Ghosts. Now, I will tell you that the one I'm going to talk about from 2001 is actually a retelling of sorts from 13 Ghosts in 1960. One thing I do want to say about the one in 1960 that is really cool, that I don't believe happened in 2001 when this one was released. But in 1960, when the original one was released, they actually gave the whole audience what I would assume is like 3D type glasses that they were calling ghost viewers.
Really?
Yeah, and they actually filmed it in a way that without the glasses on, you actually couldn't see the ghosts at certain points.
That's so cool.
So cool. So cool. Yeah. I had to bring that up because there are slight differences here and there in the stories and stuff like that, but at its core, it's the same thing. Both totally worth a watch, but I am going to focus on the 2001. So this movie follows a family originally of 4 who ends up losing their wife slash mother in a fire. And all that's left now is Arthur and his 2 children. And they're working to basically move on with their life, and they're struggling to cope. And, you know, it's with an additional character added in now, kind of not really to replace the mother, but to fill in like the spaces where he'd need help. You get a wicked funny, very attitudey nanny, and I friggin' love her. She's so funny in this movie. Now, it's sometime after the mother's death, and Arthur is made aware of the fact that he had an uncle that he knew of, like he knew of in name, but not really anything beyond that. But that uncle had passed away. Not only did he pass away, he willed Arthur his entire estate. With the urging of his children, they went to go check out the house with the lawyer, and as expected, it seemed to be almost too good to be true, and that's largely because it was. This house was gigantic, and it had everything their hearts could desire: multiple bathrooms, multiple bedrooms. It's a whole bunch of things. One thing I am going to say about this, though, and this house is gorgeous. It's amazing. Every wall is glass. So I kind of put myself in 2001. I was 18 and, you know, just graduating high school or whatever. And I can't fathom what to live in a house with glass walls. There is no privacy at all. I almost said privacy. I had to actually make myself not say privacy. I've been watching too many British shows, by the way. But like, even the bathroom has all of the glass. Like, the floors are all, but you can't wear a dress, which I wouldn't, but
still, it's
No.
it's a little much.
Yeah, it is. It's too much. It's, again, gorgeous house, but not for me. No, these glass walls had like something written on them or like etched onto them, writing that they really couldn't they couldn't really decipher. And the walls themselves actually shifted, but at first it just seemed kind of random. They really didn't know why or what it meant. Now comes a terrifying twist. The eccentric uncle has actually comprised a machine of sorts to not only collect but contain the souls needed to complete the Black Zodiac. He wanted to complete the Black Zodiac to gain access to the Ocularis Infernum, which is the eye of hell. And this would give him unmatched power. You find out that this house is that machine. So that's why they end up finding out that is why the walls move. The stuff written on the walls is actually incantations to keep the spirits locked in their area until they were ready to move into it's like this big wheel room. It's really kind of neat looking. Now there are 13 ghosts that are needed to complete this contraption. The first, I'm gonna list them all. I'm gonna go 1 through 13. So 1, you have the firstborn son. 2, the torso. 3, the bound woman. 4, the withered lover, which they do find out is his wife. 5, the torn prince. 6, the angry princess. 7, the pilgrimess. 8, the great child. 9, the dire mother. 10, the hammer. 11, my personal favorite, the jackal. And 12, the juggernaut. And the 13th ghost is actually meant to be Arthur himself. The 13th ghost is the broken heart. Now, eventually we learn that the uncle has actually been alive the whole time. I will tell you, you get to a point where you kind of are pretty sure that that's the case anyways. But when you find out, you're still like, oh, damn. Like, so but like, it's still shocking. It's pretty good. Um, they figure out that the only way to actually stop this machine is an act of selfless sacrifice, which Arthur, played by Tony Shalhoub, does. He leaps off a balcony into the center of this like wheel thing that has like all of the other ghosts on it, and he leaps in it to save his children, and he does. So that's really kind of the whole plot of the movie. It doesn't sound like a lot, but there's so much more to unfold. You have all the 13 ghosts have their own little like stories to them if you want to kind of deep dive. There's so many cool deaths, like the lawyer literally gets cut in half sideways, not like nose to back of head, but ear to ear in
Right.
moving glass doors. Like they close on him and then the front of him slides down and you're left to see
It's so
just
good.
the innards. Yeah.
Love that part. Love that scene.
But yeah, like I said, what's your favorite ghost?
Oh God, that's tough. You put me on the spot here. I oh God. Honestly, I don't know. I can't decide.
So while
What's
you kind of think on that, mine is actually the Jackal, and it's really kind of awesome because it's basically the ghost of a disheveled man, and he has like this cage on his head, and he's meant to represent like wildness, and he's just aggressive and depravity, and he's just really really friggin' awesome. And the ghost that Cyrus chooses for this is actually the ghost of if I remember his name correctly, it's Ryan Kuhn, or Kun, Kuhn. Yeah, I'm looking it up now just to make sure. And so he was actually born to a prostitute at some point in the year 1887. He grew up to develop a sick, insatiable, and uncontrollable taste for women. As a result, he became a wild and cunning sexual predator, attacking, raping, and murdering strays and prostitutes of the dead in the dead of night like a wild animal. So he would eventually seek treatment, and he eventually went insane completely. He scratched the walls of his cell so violently that his fingernails were torn completely off and made his hands claw-like. So, yeah, and you don't see him do that stuff in the movie. You don't see like the rape and stuff like that. So that's not something you have to worry about. I will tell you that the Angry Princess is a very naked woman the entire time. She's not like doing anything vulgar, but she's naked. You see boobs really the whole movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. So did you find out your favorite?
This is tough. Gun to head. I like the torso.
So torso's freaking awesome.
Yeah, just sort of my sensibilities. So yeah, gun to head, I like them all, but gun to head, I would say the torso probably.
So if I'm correct, hold on. Sorry, I just lost my space. So the torso, so basically the torso is missing his legs and his arms, and oh no, he has his arms. He's missing his legs and or his waist, and basically he's a mutilated ghost, and he's a ghost of Jimmy Gambino. Also really cool. Like I said, all these ghosts have like their own backstory to them, but Jimmy Gambino was obsessed with gambling, and he would spend his day at the track instead of at school, and his nights gambling in seedy bars, and he eventually became a bookie, although he was barely able to pay off his own debts. Jimmy eventually turned down a bet that eventually caught the attention of a mobster. Sorry.
Okay.
So he lost a bet, basically betting on a boxing match, and Jimmy agreed, and it sealed his fate because when the boxer was defeated, he fainted. When Jimmy awoken, he now had none of his parts. So that's how he paid his gambling debt, basically. And like I said, it's just so cool. And if you check out like 13ghosts.fandom.com and actually look at the Black Zodiac, there is, every one of these has like a deeper story that you can like really kind of dive into. And I suggest you do it if you like this movie, because it is so good.
Yes, it is. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. In fact, I want to go back. I think this weekend I'm gonna rewatch the 1960 this weekend, just
Totally worth it.
because it's been a minute since I've watched the original. So it's but yeah, no, this is a great film, a classic. I don't want to jump on your toes. Did you have more to say, or
No. That's all I got for that.
okay? Yeah, this is. If you're a fan of horror and haven't seen this, definitely do yourself a favor and find it on wherever whatever platform or whatever, and check it out, because this is a good one, real good one. I mean, they're all good that we reveal. That's why we picked the ones we're revealing. But
yeah, exactly.
But this is a classic. Or
all right. Well, I feel like I think we need to rate this one, and I want to rate. We can rate them both, but we need to rate them separately.
Okay.
And I want to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10 of jackals, because the jackal is obviously my favorite, and yeah. So, what do you got? What do you think?
Okay. Now you said we're rating them both.
Yeah.
Okay, so the original, I would say it's been a minute. So just to be conservative, because it's been a minute, I'd give the original like a 6.5. The remake for me, and after I watch it, I might have a new review or a new score in a future episode after I watch the original again, because it's just been a while. But and then this one, the 2001, I'm gonna give that a good solid 7.5 jackals. So what
Nice.
about
That's
you?
good. I'm actually pretty much on the same page with you as far as, so I was teetering between a 6.5 and a 7 for the 1961. But then I started thinking about it a little more, and I'm actually gonna go 7.5 for the original one because of the audience participation. I just think that's so cool. I think when a movie comes out and they do that, and I don't mean participation as in like just like their reaction. They are bringing them into this movie. They are giving them the glasses and they are letting them see these things, and I love that. That's gonna give, for me, the 1960 7.5 jackals.
Cool.
And I'm gonna go 8.5 jackals for the 2001. And
Nice.
and I can't even put my finger on why, but I've always been wildly partial to this movie. I love this movie. It is scary. It's got all of the, it's not like, you know, someone not really deep into the horror genre could potentially have nightmares from this movie. It is chilling. There are jump scares. There are jump scares that you're looking at and you see them coming, and they come and they still get you. And it's fantastic. So I'm gonna give the 2001 8.5 jackals.
I love it. That's awesome. And it's funny how I like how you were talking about how just some movies just stick with you,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. It's just, I have movies like that, even just talking about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, how that stuck with me since childhood. It's funny how it can be just these random movies that, not that it's like super random, but you know what I mean? It's not like 13 Ghosts isn't considered along the lines of a Psycho, or you know what I mean? So that is very interesting, but I love it. Those are awesome scores. I would have, and that's a great point. Imagine in 1960 being able to go to that theater and get those glass, and only being able to see it with those glass. That had to be so mind blowing for them in 1960. I mean, that's so cool. So cool.
It actually brings me to a question.
Yeah.
So All right. And then it's a little off track, but it's not. And if you listen to our podcast, you know this is what we did. If you had the opportunity to go back in time at your current age, but to go back in time and see any horror movie ever that came out that you were not old enough to see in the theater when it did, what would you see?
Oh,
Or you might not even have been alive when it came out. What would you want to see?
that's tough. I mean, I have to go back. Like, I would think like a Psycho for sure in the theaters, the original time. I remember my mother telling me when I was younger, it was the first time I watched the original Rosemary's Baby. Well, she saw that in the theater as a young woman. I don't know how old she would have been when it came out, and telling me how nothing had been seen like that before, really. Just like the way Rosemary's Baby was. And she went with my cousin Dave. He was passed now. He's like a second cousin. He's older and everything. And so something like that would be cool. But for me, I think I would have to go back to like a Psycho, something like that, where it's just the genre is fairly new as far as like that slasher-y thing, and just that never before seen. Yeah, I would say either Psycho, The Birds, or Rosemary's Baby. What about you?
Oh, so it's funny because Rosemary's Baby actually made my list. That's one of the ones I feel like I would want to. I feel like after I learned the thing about 13 Ghosts, I feel like that would definitely be one of the ones. But if if push came to shove and I could literally only go back in time to see one movie ever in the theater that I did not have the opportunity to see in the theater when I was, because it was out before I was born,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it should be Halloween,
Good
but
choice.
it's The Exorcist.
Ooh, Exorcist. That's another good one. I would like, because I just remember reading about what was happening to audience members
Yeah.
after The Exorcist.
Well, my mom and one of her friends stepped into the drive-in and saw it, and then had to walk all the way home through the woods after seeing it. Like,
No, nope.
yeah,
Nope.
that's exactly my response. I was like, nope.
No. Yeah, Exorcist would be a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good choice.
Yeah, it's tied for me with Halloween, I think, but I think Exorcist, and I love Halloween, but I think Exorcist would win out if I only could see one.
Good choice. Good choice.
Thank you.
All
All right. Well,
right.
you have the kid friendly this week, right?
Yeah, the kid friendly / family friendly
Mm-hmm.
movie. And this is a good one. I really enjoyed it. And I'm talking about the 2021 American Puppet Supernatural Comedy Halloween Special, Muppets Haunted Mansion. Now, this is only 41 minutes, so it's not like a feature length film. It's more of a special, but it's still really good. If you're a fan of the Muppets, you will love this. So, um, again, this came out on October 8th, 2021, and is based on the Disney properties, The Muppets and The Haunted Mansion. As a kid, that was one of my favorite. I remember going to Disney World and that Haunted Mansion being one of my favorite rides. Just loved it because, it's scary or not really scary, but kind of when you're a kid. So, and the plot, actually, you know what? I want to get in. Let me talk a little bit about the cast before I get into this plot, because this has got just such a good cast in it. We got Will Arnett. Will Arnett as the host. And Will Arnett's great, so funny. Arrested Development, Murderville, just name it. He's been in a ton of shows and movies. Very funny man. Yvette Nicole Brown as the hearse driver. She was Community. Just a lot of good stuff. She's great. Darren Criss as the caretaker. Taraji P. Henson as the bride. John Stamos playing a random famous person. We have Ed Asner as Claude the ghost. We have Alfonso Ribeiro, Carlton from the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as Fred. Got Danny Trejo as Hewitt the Ghost. Pat Sajak shows up as a singing bust. I mean, you got Craig Robinson as a singing bust. I love Craig, very funny man. Show Killing It and Hot Tub Time Machine, all those good ones. So just a stellar cast, which usually is the case in Muppets. They're such an institution nowadays that it's like most people, famous people line up to be in it. God, Seth Rogen, I think, or not Seth Rogen, his buddy there wrote one of the movies one time. The kid from How I Met Your Mother. I can never remember his name.
Me either, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's a buddy all the time. So you get a lot of good names in it. And so the plot essentially is we have Gonzo and Pepe and instead of attending the Muppets annual Halloween party, Gonzo and Pepe are on their way to a fear challenge event in the same haunted mansion where Gonzo's favorite magician, the Great MacGuffin, disappeared 100 years ago. And I just love even that name, the Great MacGuffin, as his favorite magician, because for those of you who don't know, a MacGuffin is a term in films that it's an object or a plot device that essentially the whole movie is based around. Think of what's in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. That and at the end they open it, but you never see it. That's a MacGuffin. It's just those devices that propel the plot forward. And to name a character the Great MacGuffin, I just love it. It's something the Muppets are known for, and their things, these play on words, these puns. So it's right up my alley. I love it. And so they're in this house, and essentially they have to make it till morning to win. And as you can imagine, just like all Muppet film shows, movies, chaos and hilarity ensues throughout the night. We got the scares, and it's just a lot of fun, guys. Like I said, there's something in it for everybody. If kids, and I'll get your opinion on this, but I feel as though pretty much any age for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think it's like I don't think it's an issue there. But there's stuff.
I can't think of anything that would be. It's not. I mean, it's spooky but not scary. It's and it's the Muppets. So
yeah, it's and there's stuff in there for the adults. Oh, I love Miss Piggy as going by Madame Pigoda, because it's Madame Leota is the other from the Haunted Mansion. She's the face in the crystal ball is Madame Leota, so Madame Pigoda. So there's a lot of good puns in there and stuff. Like I said, there's stuff in there for everybody. That's why I really appreciate it. It's like the Muppets. They make sure that the adults are going to be entertained as well. It's can't say enough good things about this, guys. I would. If you're looking for a good, on a weekend or a Friday night, a good family film, like I said, it's only 40 minutes, but something good for the whole family to sit down and have, a little popcorn and have a family night. This is a perfect film for that, or a perfect mini movie for that. Great.
So to again, stray from the conversation just a little bit. If you were to pick your favorite Muppet movie of all time, on the spot, gun to head, what do you pick?
Ooh, that's tough. So first of all, of everything, I think Muppet Babies was my absolute favorite, iteration of them. Muppet Babies was great, but as far as a movie, that's tough. But one that that's just near and dear to my heart. Muppets Take Manhattan. So, but I mean, honestly, if you ask me tomorrow, it'd probably could be something different because there's just so many really, really good ones. What about you?
So I also love Muppets Take Manhattan. I love really every Muppet movie, but my favorite, hands down, and it doesn't change, it never changes, is Muppet Treasure Island
Another good one.
with Tim Curry as Blackbeard.
Yup, another good one. Oh yeah, yeah. If you ask me tomorrow, that could really be one of my favorite because there are so good. Were you a fan of Muppet Babies?
I loved Muppet Babies. Loved Muppet Babies.
All right, yeah.
Little Rolf. I love Rolf.
Yes, yes. I was my I that oh god, one of my favorites growing up. Muppet Babies, loved it.
All right.
All
You got
right.
anything else for me?
No, I think that's it today.
All right. Well, meet us at the snack bar next week when Deliverance is on the big screen.
Oh,
Until then, sweet dreams.
thanks, guys.
Bye.